Nissan Skyline episode 4. Yeah, we're on number 4. Right, this episode we are going to do a multitude of things, if that's the right word. So we're going to do some interior work, some work in the boot. We're going to paint the engine bay in primer, proper primer, so it's sealed. Last video we sent away hubs, arms, drive shafts, prop shafts, all of that bits. They're nearly done. Be a few more weeks before I get them back yet, but that's a good thing because I'm not finished here. So yeah, straight into today's video. Interior, right, I was never going to touch the interior because there was nothing wrong with it. It's going to have a full interior, go back into the car. So if I painted it some mad funny colour, it would never be seen. Paintwork inside is absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with it. No bubbling, no rust, no scratches, no nothing. There was some of this crap left from the carpet all over the car, which I've pretty much managed to get rid of. I was going to take out all of this factory sound deadening and replace it with like new modern stuff, but it's all fine. There's nothing wrong with any of it. As my mate said, it's done its job all its life and it hasn't failed in any way, so there's no reason why it won't continue to do its job. There was just a bit in my footwell that well, it just bugged me. I don't know if maybe something had been spilt in the car over its years and worked its way through and stuff, but it was, compared to all this stuff which is solid and can't do anything with it, some of this bit was lifting up with my nail. So I've stripped it all back. As you can see where it was, where that grey area is. Luckily there's nothing wrong with the metal underneath, so whatever it was that caused the damage, I have no idea, but we know the underside is mint and perfect, had hundreds of hours. You can obviously see what we're working with here. There is nothing wrong. I have got the little panel it's down there, that's that little panel. So yeah, interior wise, I'm just gonna tidy this bit up. At some point I need to give the whole thing a good scrub because there's just dust and dirt sat in here from being stored in this unit for so many years, and down there as well, and B, with all the like the restoration work and the grinding dust that's gone on. But yeah, so I aim to prime and paint that today. And then at some point down the line, we need to basically take this outside and sort of give it a good wash. Just more scrubbing, less jet wash, if you know what I mean. Like sponge and soapy water, just to get all the dust and the residue and the crap all off that. Right, second thing was subframes, running gears, blah, 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 blah. So I dug all this out the other day. There's pretty much everything there running gear wise besides a gearbox. My old gearbox is down there, but it doesn't have second, third gear. Also, it was an RB20E, which is a 2-litre non-turbo gearbox, which is the same as the diff, but I believe I can just change the internals on the diff and just keep the housing. So we've got rear subframe, front subframe down there, all of the arms, all of the hubs, the drive shafts are buried back there. I've even got the original heat shields, the gearbox and the exhaust, which is nice. I am picking up a gearbox off a friend in the week this video is being made, so maybe in a few more clips down the line we might see it. But essentially, all of this needs to be dropped off to get sandblasted and powder coated. At the same time, I'll have the drive shafts rebuilt and powder coated to match the rest of the stuff. And then we can start mounting running gear. Before we do running gear, actually, that's just reminded me, I'm obviously running a fuel tank in the boot from now on, so I won't be using any of the old crusty fuel lines. We're going to modernise this massively. So these here are Superformer fuel and brake line clamps. So these two bits here are for your fuel lines, AN6 I'm using, and then here on the edge, I don't know if you can see, just above my thumb there, that holds two hard brake lines. So the idea of these, just walked into my RX-8, just pick a random spot for example, It will go there like that. It mounts to the body of the car and it holds all of your fuel lines and brake lines tucked up above this rail. So I'll run them all the way along the car because I'm going fuel cell in the boot. Fuel lines will probably go through there, so it'll probably run up along here underneath. Same with the brake lines. So that's that. I've got all of these clamps now. I just need to order myself, say, what, 15 meters times 2, so about 30 odd meters of Teflon fuel line, and then I can just, do you know what I mean, leave them hanging out the bonnet to about here, and then I can put all the subframes on and all that sort of stuff and not have to get underneath it for the fuel lines and brake lines. Fuel lines again, I'll have excess coming out to here so that once the car's on the floor, I don't have to be rerunning the lines because I've cut them too short or whatever. I'll have plenty of excess. And then the last thing in this video is the boot. So the boot is going to have to get sprayed because I've done some stupid stuff in here over the years. At one point, I filled the wheel well with expanding foam so I could have a bit of wood and have a flat boot. That was silly. I did take it all out years ago, but the boot itself, I think, before my ownerships, had like coatings of bed liner type stuff. That looks like under seal. It's been painted on with a brush around the lights. That definitely wasn't me. So with the boot, I don't want to get too OCD with it and go bare metal like this. I might have to, I don't know. What I plan to do is get rid of any contaminants, like residue from black under seal, because that's like oily based. Yeah, get rid of any contaminants, any rough edges, like there's still remnants of plastic fucking foam when I foam the boot. So stuff like that obviously can't be painted over. There's a bit of pitting in the metal here. It's not actually rusted through, it's solid, so that's gonna need rust treating. And then what I'll do is when I get the shell 2K primed, I'll get the boot primed as well. And then it'll get kept under a cover from then, because obviously I don't want to get to the stage I'm at now where, like I said, interior is just like, this should be black. It's just, yeah, everywhere. There's bits of that fur stuff that I've taken off. There's still some there. Never mind, we will get there. It's all good news. There's no major work. Like I said, all the restoration's done. All the underseal's done. It's just time and money now, and I don't have the time, but I have the money, which is really annoying. And when I say have the money, obviously I could give this to a shop to get them to do. I've done this from day one on my own, not on my own. The fabrication I've had a bit of help with, but do you know what I mean? I'm involved here. I wouldn't want to just send it off to a restoration company and get it back done. I'm getting my hands in here. So yeah, that will. That's where we're at, and the next few stages for anyone that is interested and is watching. Nice one. And I think painting next. Let's get to some painting. Get a bit of. I have already done most of this, obviously. It's just to fill them gaps in the YouTube, do you know what I mean? But essentially, we are Scotch Brighton all of the area to give the new primer, and I'm just going to go gloss black because it's never going to be seen. Just want to make sure it's covered and protected. So make sure the area is well keyed. I've done up here as well. Now we're gonna wash and clean. Well, I say wash, hoover it and wipe it down. Mask it up, wipe it down once more. Get to painting. Well, that was a shit transition, wasn't it? I'm no good at that, bollocks. Right then, as you can see, the professional masking has been done, which includes masking tape, bin bags, and a tad of blue roll when you run out of bin bags. But we're good. I'm just gonna give it a quick wipe down, and then we get the primer on. Primer, primer, primer. Right, that's 2 coats of primer. Looking good, looking good. I've just been giving my old gloss black a rattle. Doesn't look like there's much in there, so I'm not sure if I'll finish it while I'm here today. Anyway, let's move along onto the black. I managed to scrape it together enough gloss black to give that whole area 2 or 3 coats. And it looks beautiful. I would peel off all of the plastic bag and tape, but because there's dust and shit in the car, I don't want to peel it off and pull dust onto it, but that's pretty damn good. If only I could paint full cars like that. Okay? Right, next up, we'll remove the masking and we'll take a better look. It is the next day, so time for masking to come off. Let's check it out. There we have it. Job well done, in my opinion. Right, that's one job ticked off the list. Next, let's do the boot. Let's do the boot. Right, I've had a plan, I've had a thought. Because this is going to be fuel cell, there could be spillages, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go for nice, shiny show paint. I'm actually going to do, in here, what we did to the underside. So, not epoxy, phosphate primer, stone chip, and then the final colour, the same as the underneath. I'm going to do this whole area, all of this, all of that little bulkhead. I'm going to chip that sound deadening off quickly in a minute. And then what I'm going to do, so I'm not going to do this panel, because this will be seen, like when you open the boot, that needs to be coloured, body of the car colour. And I'm also not going to do behind it either. So I'm not going to do this panel, because this is where all the lights seal on. That needs to have nice paintwork, not bobbly stone chip textured. So probably going to cut the mask up there along, so anything up won't be done. All down below, we'll have the stone chip texture, all the corners, that whole shelf I'll do as well. So I'm just going to knock that sound deadening off quickly. Right, anyone that's been watching that can remember, when we done all the new strut tops, blah, 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 we sprayed it all in like Halford's primer, that stuff, just to stop it from going bad, if you know what I mean. Now we're going to paint it in proper like Body Shop. I can't remember if it's epoxy primer or 2K primer. I've got a friend coming to do it for me who's been painting for years. Turn the lights on. Yeah, so we're basically, obviously the bottom half of the engine bay is done, all the rails and stuff in the underside, underseal stone chip. So, in between doing all the other bits you've just seen and I am doing, I have had to take back the whole thing to bare metal, up here, along there, in there, every little nook and cranny. So that is now done, ready for primering. So that'll be next, I think. This video has been all over the place, but things are happening. So I pay a lot of money for my workshop. I'm not going to say how much, but let's just say I could probably rent a 4-bedroom house with the money I pay for this workshop. I am moving workshop in the next 6 months. I will be leaving this place to a place slightly smaller, but the benefit of this new place is I'm building it from scratch. A plot of bare land, I'm building my own garage workshop. It will be a bit smaller, but this thing has to be on its wheels to go there. If it's going on its wheels, I want everything underneath done, which brake lines, fuel lines, we spoke about that. But I want it sealed. I want the body sealed, all this bare metal gone. So hence why I was going to prime the engine bay. We're now priming the whole car. So yeah, it won't be anytime soon, but in the next 6 months, I will be leaving this workshop. Maybe I'll do a YouTube series on building my new workshop. As I said, it's a flat plot of land, there's nothing there. It's going to be my new garage, my new workshop. So I'm thinking epoxy floors, fancy storage. I can't wait. But anyway, we'll get back to this. My guy is not going to want to be on film. He don't want to be on YouTube, so I'm not going to get too intimate with him. But I will get some shots of him doing his thing, because he's a painter for a living, pretty much done it all his life. So let's get going. So that's it, first coat of primer done. I think I said we were just going to do the engine bay. The rest of the car's pretty much ready, so why not do the whole car? So engine bay's looking good. Rest of the car on the roof, yeah, let's see why we're doing more coats, because we run out. 3/4 are done, shows all the dents, but they'll be sorted anyway. So Scotch Brite, whole car down, final coat of primer, epoxy, high build sort of stuff. It's gonna look gorgeous. Right, scotching is done, waxing grease is done. My man's in there now laying down some thick coats of epoxy primer. Got the generator going outside to save it blowing dust and exhaust fumes. It's a fucking beautiful day. So my workshop gets, because it's in the direct sun, it gets really hot. So essentially that will now bake itself. It'll be touch dry in 10 minutes, but I'm going to leave it 24 hours. I'll come up tomorrow. I'll take the masking off. I'll see if I can get you a quick shot. Right, it is the next day. I couldn't film him while he was painting. There was just too many fumes in there. He didn't want anyone to be on camera. I ran out of time once it was finished painting, so I didn't even tidy up, just left it. But it's done, it looks good. We'll have a quick run round. I'll whip off all the masking and we'll have a look. I still can't believe this is primer. It looks like gloss white paint that you'd see on normal cars. Damn, that looks good. Doesn't make me want to paint the car white. It does show up all the dents though. Look at that. So what we are gonna do is, rather than just bosh that with filler, we're actually gonna get one of them, well, my mate's got one of them stud welding machines, and we're pretty much gonna pull out all of these dents. Same on the other side, it's just as bad. There we go. And all of these, funnily enough, are because when I had over fenders on it, I filled it with expanding foam. So anytime anyone leant on the car, it just put dents in it. These were me trying to pry the over fenders off with a lever bar. But the top edge is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And yeah, all of these will sort of stud weld, because they're all individual spots. It shouldn't be that hard. It will need a thin coat of filler over it, obviously, I'm not going to lie, but still, that middle panel's not that bad. It's just up here really. But yeah, I'll take the masking off and I'll whip her outside in the sunshine. So yeah, as I said, that is the primer done. This is now epoxy sealed. This is gonna be, well, it'll be fine to sit for the next however many months until I actually get around to painting the car. As I said, most of these dents we're gonna try and pull properly so that minimal filler will be used, but over fenders will cover that whole panel anyway. Some of you might be thinking, oh, that's a bit of a weird colour combo. Well, none of this gets seen. All of that is hidden by side skirts up to here, and then there'll be an over fender, and then it has rear spats and a rear bumper. So everything from that line down, metal-wise, is never going to be seen, but it will be perfect underneath. So we got the underseal done. We've done that ages ago, last video. That looks quite mad. Obviously the engine bay, we painted the colour of the car. So we're still waiting for the subframes to come back. But that's a good thing, because we need to finish this boot. So next job, I'll probably get this boot finished and end this video, because the next video will be installing subframes and so on, and building it back up, brake lines, fuel lines, which is exciting. It's really like starting to get to the clean work now. So without further ado, to keep this video not being too long, let's do the boot let's finish the boot and end this video here on a high of, I like it looking white, but I definitely wouldn't paint the whole car white. And remember, this is primer. This isn't paint, well, like, do you know what I mean, final paint. This is primer. How fucking good it looks. Sick. Right, onto the boot. Right then, in the boot, I have chipped off that sound deadening. That's now gone. I've got 90% of it bare metal, rust treated some of the dodgy areas. So now, got to prep it some more, and I don't think I'm going to do the whole boot in stone chip. I think I might just do the base of the boot, and then that wall and the shock towers in the final colour of the car, just so it matches like the inside of the sill of the boot. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to do some more grinding, and it takes hours and hours and hours. I'll come back to you when it's done and it's ready to prime. And just like that, it is primed. It's going to need another layer of primer. This is a phosphate primer, so it's fucking good stuff. So we'll do another coat of this. Then what we'll do is we'll primer the rest of the areas in this epoxy primer. Then we'll do the seam sealer, and then we'll do the stone chip. And then that's all the prep work done. I can concentrate on other stuff until we actually paint the fucking thing. Right, we'll come back in a minute. Right, so, still need to do another coat, but we're nearly there. The last part of grinding is on this back panel, which I can't get to because the jig's in the way. So, I'm going to have to take the car off the jig, put it on axle stands, so it'll be axle stands down, lower it down onto the stands, unbolt the jig from the middle and remove the back half, pardon me, and then I can do the back panel, leave it on the stands, we'll prime the boot, the rear panel, then I'll put it back on the jig. We'll flip it over, and then next episode will be fuel lines, brake lines, subframes, arms, all the good stuff. So what I have done, because I see a guy on TikTok and he's trying to put a Supra on a rotisserie, and he's having problems after problems, and he can't turn it over, it's unbalanced or whatever. This thing's been amazing. Like, this thing's probably done over 400 rotations all the way around. But to make sure it goes back in the same place and the same sort of orientation, I have drawn some black marks around where it's seated. So as long as I put it back to them black marks, front and back, it will be back on it the same height for the next episode. I'll try and put a time lapse on, because it's going to take me a while, but I don't know how long the time lapse will be. But yeah, let me see what I can do. We'll see if we can time lapse this. Right, I didn't remember this, so it's all the way down. I can raise that jack stand, it's just the other two I've got over there are already at their max height. So I'm going to have to find something to prop them up on, which I don't like the idea of. Let me see what I can do. Right, slight change of plan, because two of my jack stands don't go high enough. So, the rear is on them red ones, and I've cut some old t-shirts up to make sure it doesn't get scratched. So the rear's on the red. The front I'm going to leave on the jig, and I've propped it up with bits of wood along the way. And then where I'm going to disconnect it from the jig there, I've got it jacked up on the jack. So in theory, I should now be able to slide the back half of the jig off the car. The axle stand's going to hold the car up. The front of the jig's going to hold the car up. And then these blocks of wood are going to support the jig in doing so. Just remove the two bolts out of the boot. So with a bit of wiggling, and I've undone the jig at the bottom by the jack. So I should be able to pull this lot out. I might need to go up or down a bit because of the tension on it, but I'll put it on a time lapse in case I drop the Skyline. Can't believe I'm about to potentially film me dropping my Skyline off a jig. Wish me luck. Yeah, boy! Jesus, my heart was going then. I mean, whew. That's nearly slipped off. That needs sorting out. That's on that. The front's all good. The front hasn't even dropped because I took the wood with a little gap. So I know if the frame had dropped. Frame hasn't dropped, which means that's holding all the weight. Should we give it a wiggle test? Oh, yeah, she's all right, but I wouldn't want to be bashing it around and being underneath it. So, gonna set that jack up nicely so it's actually holding the full beam, and then gonna wire wheel all this off. It's gonna be quite emotional actually, because I've been wire wheeling at this car for about 2 years on and off, like back over myself because I didn't prime it when I'd done it. And it's one of them jobs where you're like, yeah, it's well therapeutic, and then half hour in, you're like, this is fucking shit. You're getting hit bits of wire in the face, covered in shit, workshop's covered in shit. So this back panel is going to be the last bit of wire wheeling on the Skyline. And then when the new location is built, it'll be Monty's MX-5 getting the same treatment, and now I know the fucking techniques and stuff. I'll whiz through that one. Right, anyway, I'm gonna wire wheel this off. I'm not gonna put any more time frames in, time lapse, just wasting the video. We'll get this video done after the painting. Oh, buzzing about that. Right then, wire wheeling is done. And we have also welded in a frame that's gonna hold the fuel cell eventually. We needed to put that in first because I'm about to prime the rest of the car. Well, inside the boot and the back panel is about to get primed. So I'm just doing a bit of prep, grind some paint off, all that sort of thing. Fuck's sake! Where was I? Yeah, so all of this has been like lightly sanded, scotched, keyed, whatever you want to call it. Just need to do it up here. Blow it all out, clean it all out with alcohol and panel wipe. And then get some plastic sheeting over the car and just cut this bit out, tape it all up, mix up some paint and paint. So yeah, it's gonna take me another hour to clean and prep this. I'll come back once we're all fully masked up pre-paint, and then we'll do after paint, and I'll tell you a bit more about the next bit of the plan. There she is, all dressed up in no other colour than pink, of course. Whee. So yeah, whole car covered. Just that back panel and inside the boot exposed. Just gonna wipe it down with panel wipe and we get painting. The annoying thing is the new primer is grey and not white, which pissed me off a bit, but it'll do. Still look nice. Got the old ghetto fan set up to extract the air. Let's go. Finally, the painting has finished. Well, I say painting, the primering. So we've done the underseal. That was in last video, wasn't it? I'm losing track now. Underside done, looking mint, looking fresh. outside now primed, so engine bay, whole outside shell, and then as you've just seen, we've just finished the boot, which brings us to the end of this video. Next video will be still in this unit, because remember I'm moving units soon. The idea of the next video will be to get this thing rolling. So there's the rear subframe, for example, all freshly powder coated, rebuilt, new bushes, everything. I will insert some pictures of the rest of the stuff. It's all in boxes down there. It's all hidden under the car. So next video will be to get this thing rolling. Let's have a quick look at the paint job, quick look at the parts that are going on in the next video. Thank you to the 10 people that watch this. It's now sort of turning into more of an archive that I can look back in years to come, or if I ever decide to sell the car, I've got all these videos on YouTube. So thank you for watching. I'll show you the boot, I'll show you the parts that are going on in the next video. See you in the next video. So we've all seen the white. The rear is done in grey because we just couldn't get the white in time. Same stuff, just different colour. That's all inside the boot. A frame for the fuel cell as well. Yeah. What do I do with it next? I don't know whether to stone chip the bottom half and then have the rest the same colour as the car. I have no idea. Anyway, I'll insert some pictures of the parts that are going on. Good night. God bless.